Hi guys, welcome to Vic and Vern Sports Shed. My name is Vic and welcome to Across the Pond, our weekly North American sports update. Everything North American, once a week, always on a Wednesday, normally at 11 o'clock Central European time, but due to the Manchester United game, we're 45 minutes later than usual. But we got to get into it, man. We got to get into it because there was a lot of going on in North America this past week and a lot coming up next week. So let's have a look at the topics quickly. Of course, it's the second week of the Pennsylvania sports. If you're a regular, last week we had Pennsylvania already. We talked about the football teams in Pennsylvania, and we talked about the basketball team. We talked about the 76ers. We talked about the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Philadelphia Eagles. This week we'll be talking about the NHL teams and the two baseball teams that we have in Philadelphia. Guys, remember to like, subscribe, and hit the notification button. We're on a good way to 128,000. And hey, at the bottom there, you can see the email. And a little further down, the countdown to the Super Bowl. 31 days, 23 hours, 13 minutes, and 16 seconds. Don't forget the seconds. There you go. There you go. Let me just make sure I got the chat up and running here. 1 second. There you go. Put it in there. There you go. All right, man. So let's get straight into it because there's no time to waste. We're talking about Pennsylvania. Where is Pennsylvania? Well, that's a map of the U.S., a large map of the U.S., and that is Pennsylvania there where the red arrow is, but I'll increase it so that you can see exactly where Pennsylvania is. There it is. It's between the Lake Erie and the Atlantic Ocean. Two big cities there, Philadelphia and Pittsburgh. We mentioned that all in the first part. Harrisburg, the capital of Pennsylvania. But listen here, let's talk about some beautiful picture right there of Pennsylvania. They got some good sports bars as well. Of course, if I had to go to Pennsylvania right now, I would want to go to Gettysburg. I'm a little bit of with Vern together, we the Civil War interests us and stuff that happened there. So I would go to Gettysburg. When you're in Philadelphia, you've got to go see the Liberty Bell, obviously. Then there's some beautiful resorts like Mount Davis. I mean, that is stunning. That's the highest point in Pennsylvania. But most important, because we are big eaters, what is Philly famous for? For me, Philadelphia cheesesteak, baby. Nothing like a Philly cheesesteak and some fries. I mean, famous all over the world, a Philly cheesesteak. Something you really have to get into, man. And you don't eat one, you always eat two, man. And if you're a pig like me, you eat three. So let's start off with the college playoffs from last. There you go. We have our semifinals, and they're all going to be on the channel here live. The Oregon Ducks take on the Indiana Hoosiers. Ole Miss Rebels take on the Miami Hurricanes. I'm hoping for an Oregon-Miami final, and I'm hoping that Miami wins the whole thing. I'm just supporting Miami now after my Alabama Crimson Tide got knocked off. The final will be on the national championship. There's this cool guy, good looking, clever, intelligent, has a birthday on the 20th of January. No surprise if you can guess who that guy is. There you go. So college football, that is going into the final stages. Then let's have a look at the NFL from last week. And look, there were some crazy results. The Buccaneers, they beat the Panthers, but they still didn't make the playoffs because the Falcons beat the Saints and they all finished on the same amount of points. And the Panthers were the ones that got through there. Seahawks knocking off the 49ers. That was a good one for the Seahawks. They got a bye in the first week. Denver kept on winning, so they got a bye in the first week. Bills thrashed the Jets, expected. Cowboys, look, we can talk about the teams that disappointed this year. We'll talk about that in a second. But, so our season is in the book. The regular season is in the book. It's all done. It's all over. It's finished. And now we know which teams are in the playoffs. So, we'll get to that in a second. Because what happens after the final week of the NFL, there's always that Black Monday where coaches get fired. And this year it hit a few prominent people. I mean, John Harbaugh, he got fired from the Ravens. He's been there since 2008. So almost 18 years he was at the head coach there. Won them a Super Bowl. That was the brotherly Super Bowl that he won against the San Francisco 49ers against his brother. So he's looking for a job. I do not think 1 second he's going to have a problem finding a job. Then Pete Carroll, he's gone. He got sacked by the Las Vegas Raiders. I always forget that the Raiders are now in Las Vegas. Kevin Stefanski got sacked by the Browns. So he'll be looking for a new job. Raheem Morris got sacked by the Falcons, which I find surprising because they actually finished the season really strongly. And then Jonathan Gannon, he got sacked by the Cardinals. So that's 5 head coaches vacancy. So let's see who picks up head coaching spots there. You know, which is the team you'd want to coach out of those 5? Browns, Raiders, Cardinals, Falcons. Yeah, it's still got to be the Ravens. So if you're looking for anybody there looking for a job, the best job out there at the moment, I would go Ravens, the best job. I think the Falcons have got a good team coming up, so I'd go Falcons. Ravens or Falcons would be the job I would want to take. Then let's look at the whole season finish, the standings. We started with the AFC East. So the Patriots on top there with the Bills both making the playoffs. The Dolphins and the Jets. The Jets are the Jets. The Jets are the worst franchise, man. Since I can remember, the Jets and the Browns, they just can't get anything right, man. Nothing right. Look, I had the Bulls winning this division. I didn't have the Patriots making the playoffs this year, I'll be honest. Or did I? I think I had them as a wild card. There you go. Then the AFC North. Pittsburgh wasn't a very good league. I think if Joe Burrow was healthy the whole season, things would have been a lot different there. But Pittsburgh in there with Aaron Rodgers. And that's the only team that made it out of that group. Baltimore not making the playoffs. That's maybe the reason Harbaugh got the sack. Then in the South, the Jacksonville Jaguars, good season from them. Good season from the Texans. The middle of the season, they had a little bit of a stutter, but they came good at the end. So both of them are in the playoffs. And in the West, the Broncos, the team on the bye this week. The Chargers will go to the Patriots. So we'll see what happens there. That does look like a good season. Kansas City, another team that really disappointed this year. And people, don't tell me it's because of the injury of Patrick Mahomes. They were out of the playoffs before Patrick Mahomes got injured, okay? So let's be honest. Then in the NFC East, look, the Eagles won by default because the Cowboys, the Commanders, and the Giants just suck. And the Eagles, as the defending champions, were not that great this season. Then in the North, good job by the Chicago Bears and the Packers. The Packers got in because of that one draw. See, sometimes a draw can get you in. Minnesota, Detroit. I think that was the best conference or the best division in football. I think that's the one with the most wins, if I've got it correctly. Maybe it's still the West also. Yeah, this one was very competitive as well. Carolina Panthers getting into the playoffs with a negative win ratio. They were under 500 and they got into the playoffs. You don't have to be good. You just have to win your division. And let's go back to that quickly. The Buccaneers, I think they lost 6 out of the last 7 games, which was sad for them. And then, of course, the Seattle Seahawks. Maybe this is the strongest division. Seahawks, Rams, 49ers, all in the playoffs, all with 12 or more wins. Seahawks have a bye. 49ers, I think it's the 49ers against the Eagles. So that's going to be a tough one. So let's see what happens there. So that's your NFL season done. Now, regular season, now the playoffs start. Let's have a quick look at the stats of the players before we get into what's coming up and who's playing against who in the playoffs. Look, I think Matthew Stafford will get the MVP just on 46 touchdowns, only 8 interceptions. Had the most yards, had the most touchdowns, and had the least interception to touchdown ratio. Rushing, James Cook there with 1,620. No one got close to the 2,000 yards this year. Jonathan Taylor with 18 touchdowns. That was impressive. Then Derrick Henry came good at the end of the season, but I think that the little middle stretch there, that cost them the season. And then as the receivers, Jackson Smith, Najigba with 1,793 yards, 10 touchdowns. Look, Nakua was good. Pickens, Chase, Amon-Ra St. Brown. The MVP is going to Matthew Stafford because we all know it's a quarterback trophy. Then let's have a look. That's what's coming up. Super Bowl, baby, Super Bowl. And it all starts this weekend with the wild card weekend. So the Rams got the Panthers. I got the Rams as the favorite there. Packers against the Bears. I'll go with the Bears. Bills, Jaguars. I'm back in the Jaguars. Eagles, 49ers. I think that's a really tough one, but I think the Eagles will just do it. Just do it. Chargers, Patriots, got to be the Patriots, baby. Got to be the Patriots. And I think the Texans will take care of the Steelers. I don't think Aaron Rodgers and the boys have got enough there. I think the Texans will do the job there with CJ Stroud. They'll do the job. Then we move into the NBA. Some results from last night there. I'm not going to run through all of them. I did that in the morning show that we do every morning. But Lakers impressive there. Winning. Mavericks are starting to come. Clippers are starting to come. Let's have a look at the East quickly. We'll see what's going on there. Look, in the East, it's still the Detroit Pistons on top, ahead of the Boston Celtics. And I've got to tip my hat to the Boston Celtics. Great season if you consider no Jason Tatum. The Knicks are okay. The Raptors are not doing too bad. Philadelphia 76ers, I thought would be better, actually. Embiid and Paul George have to step up. I mean, Tyrese Maxey's carrying the load there. Cleveland, strong team. Orlando, Miami. I still think Milwaukee gets into the playoffs, and I think the Chicago Bulls fall out. I think Atlanta will stay in. But hey, look, there's a lot of trade rumors going on. Trae Young, and we'll see what happens there. We'll see what happens there. In the West, top dog is still the Oklahoma City Thunder, can't I say that? But they are stuttering a little bit. I mean, I think they've lost 4 out of the last 6, if I've got that correct. San Antonio will be there and thereabout. Got a nice young squad. The Lakers, Luka, I don't know how deep they can make a run. The Nuggets, once Joker is back, they'll move into the top half of the second spot, I guess. For me, I'm still going with the Houston Rockets winning it this season. I'd like to see Minnesota come close to the final because I do like Anthony Edwards. I think the Mavericks and the Clippers still make the playoffs. I think Memphis and Portland will fall out. Hi, Paddy. How you doing, man? Let's have a look at the stats quickly in the NBA. Luka out on top there on the points with 33.5 ahead of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Tyrese Maxey. On the assists, we have Nikola Jokic, top assist with 11 assists a game. Rebounds, I think it's also Nikola. 12.2. Depends how long he's out. If he falls out of the MVP race, you have to have a certain amount of games. I think you have to have 60 games out of the 82 to qualify for the MVP honors. Steals, Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard is playing like an all-star at the moment. He's playing like an MVP at the moment. The last month has been sensational from Kawhi Leonard, and the Clippers are starting to move up. On the blocks, we have Alex Zar. That's impressive, 2.4 blocks a game. Ahead of Jay Huff. Like I said, Jay Huff would need to have 22.2 a game for the Pacers to start winning anything. Then we move into the NHL, baby. Some good games there last night. Things are still quite evened out in the NHL. I mean, the only team that's really way above the rest of them is the Avalanche. So let's have a look at that. There are the scores. I'm not going to run through all of them because I do that every morning on the morning show. Join us for the morning show. In the East, look, Tampa Bay is the top dog in the East, but it's all close. They're followed by the Hurricanes, the Red Wings, the Canadiens, the Islanders. I mean, look, everybody's still in the playoff hunt in my eyes because it's early going. They've played around about half the game, so everybody's still in the hunt there. In the West, there you can see the Avalanche way out in front. I think for Winnipeg and Vancouver, it's getting tight at the moment. They're going to have to start putting a little bit of a winning streak together to start moving up the table. My Golden Knights are still in 4th, so I'm happy about that. On the stats side of the NHL, Connor McDavid, the main man, with 75 points ahead of Nathan McKinnon. Nathan McKinnon does lead the goal scoring with 35 and Connor McDavid with 28. So McDavid is the number 1 assist in the league and McKinnon the number 1 goal scorer. Best goalkeeper in the league is still Jesper Wallstedt of Minnesota, saving 92.8% of his shots. Philip Grubauer of Seattle in 2nd spot there. But like I said, we're going to introduce a little bit Pennsylvania and the teams. We did the NBA last week. We did the NFL last week. So let's get into the NHL. And of course, you can't get past the Pittsburgh Penguins. What a franchise the Pittsburgh Penguins have been. Let's give you some info on the Penguins. Look, Eastern Conference Metropolitan Division, founded in 1967. They've always been the Pittsburgh Penguins. They play their home games at the PPG Paints Arena, obviously in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. More information. Look, they're owned by the Fenway Sports Group. That is the same sports group that own the Boston Red Sox and FC Liverpool. General manager is Kyle Dubas. Head coach is Dan Moose. Captain is Sidney Crosby, or Sid the Kid Crosby there. That's their affiliates. I'm going to go through that. Let's see what they've done. Look, they've won 5 Stanley Cups. I thought it was 6, but it's 5. They've won and they always seem to do it in pairs. I mean, 90, 91, 91, 92, and then again 15, 16, 16, 17. So if they win it this year, you wouldn't bet against them winning it next year. They've won a few. Look, I've just chosen some of the people in my lifetime that have impressed me there. Of course, you can't get past Mario Lemieux, Paul Coffey, and then of course the great one for me, Jaromir Jagr. Those were the boys in the early running, doing really well there for the Pittsburgh Penguins. And then of course today, we got to go with these two boys here. You got to go with Evgeny Malkin and Sidney Crosby. They're doing well for the Steelers. Penguins. It's just people that I, in my lifetime, have followed. Of course, there's a lot of great other sports people and a lot of other great players that played for the Pittsburgh. I think Bergeron played for the Penguins as well. So, there's a lot of good players that played for the Penguins. Then we leave the Penguins, and there's another team that plays in Pennsylvania, and that is the Philadelphia Flyers. So let's go over to the Philadelphia Flyers. Put some info out on the Flyers. Also Eastern Conference Metropolitan, also 1967. And they've always been the Philadelphia Flyers. There you go. Then the owner is the Comcast group there. The general manager is Daniel Birera. Head coach is Rick Tocchet. And the captain is Sean Courtier. There you go. What have they won? Well. The Flyers have won 2 titles, and they do it back to back. There's something in Pennsylvania that they like to do things back to back. They won it in 1973, 74, and 74, 75. They've won 8 conference titles, but it's been a long time. It's been 50 years since they've won their last title. So Philadelphia Flyers, get your shit together, man. Let me put out the guys that I remember. Look, from a Flyers perspective, it's Eric Lindros, Ron Hextall, and Mark Howe. Those are the 3 players that I can remember. I didn't want to bring up names that I do not know anything about. Of course, Eric Lindros, the big man. I actually saw him play live once in Switzerland. So fantastic. Eric Lindros, love him. What a player he was. That's your... that is your hockey there from North America. Then there are some baseball teams we should be looking into. Let's put that out there. Of course, it's the Philadelphia Phillies. I'm telling you, in baseball, they are very stingy when it comes to their logos. The Phillies got a red P and the Pirates got a yellow P. That's it. There you go. Look, the Phillies, they've been around since 1883. Philadelphia Phillies, they've changed the name. Once they were the Philadelphia Blue Jay Phillies, then they were the Philadelphia Phils, and then they went back to then they were the Philadelphia Quaker Phils, and then they just changed the name, but it's always been the Philadelphia Phillies. More info on them. That's the front office. I really don't need to get into that. You guys can see that. I'm more interested in what they've won, and they won 2 World Series titles. 1980 and 2008. Some good players there for the Phillies. I forgot one right now. You know what? I forgot one, but that's just the way it is. I forgot one. But the players that I remember for the Philadelphia Phillies, of course, Bryce Harper. Of course, Bryce Harper. he plays for them today. But these are the guys. Of course, you have Chase Utley, Jimmy Rollins, and Ryan Howard. Those are the players that I remember in my lifetime. All great players, all great servants to the Philadelphia Phillies. Then there's that other team that plays in Pennsylvania, the ones with the big P as the yellow logo, and that is your Pittsburgh Pirates. Let's give a little bit of information on the Pirates. There you go. Always been there since 1887. Always been around. Fantastic, long history. What have they won? Oh no, well, let's go to their front office. That's their front office. The manager's Don Kelly at the moment. Check that out. But let's see what they've won, the Phillies. Here we go. They've won 5 World Series titles: 1909, 1925, 1960, 1971. Beautiful year, 1971. There was this beautiful kid born in 1971. Can't remember his name. Ah, yes, Vic, of course. And then in 1979, they won it again. So yeah, 5 titles, that's a lot, but it's been a long time since they've won anything. Look, for me, players that I know in that era are these 2 guys, Andrew McCutcheon and Barry Bonds. Yeah, Barry Bonds did start with the Pittsburgh Pirates. People kind of forget that. Oh, Barry. There you go. So that is your, your teams there in Pennsylvania. Let's have a quick look before we end the show at what is up in the college basketball. Let's have a look at the ladies. We'll put that right out there. I only took the top 10 of the ATP poll. I don't need to go all the way down to like 25 or something like that. UConn still unbeaten on top, 15-0, followed by Texas 17-0. Then come the UConn Huskies, the Texas Longhorns, the South Carolina Gamecocks, the UCLA Bruins, the Oklahoma Sooners, the Kentucky Wildcats, your top 6. You still have Maryland, Michigan, Louisville in there for the ladies. But that stuff gets really interesting in 2 months' time when March Madness starts. On the guys' side, it's still Arizona there, the Wildcats, ahead of the Wolverines, Ohio State, UConn Huskies, Purdue. The Blue Devils of Duke are still up there, Gonzaga. Yeah. Only still 3 unbeaten teams on the top 3, and then of course Nebraska's still unbeaten. But like I said, that all gets very, very interesting there in March. It'll be snowing on Thursday and Friday. Yeah, it's snowing right now, I'm telling you now, and it's freezing cold, and it's snowing outside like crazy. My wife, I just set her whole computer stuff up this evening. She brought it from work so that she doesn't have to go to work tomorrow, because there's supposed to be snow and a little bit of icy streets and stuff like that. So, don't have to take... This is a good thing about this day and age. If you don't have to go to work and you can do home office when it's bad weather, that's something very cool, man. But that is our across the pond for this week. Next week, I don't know. I'm going to decide later on in the week which state we're going to do next week. We might do 2 or 3 in other smaller states that don't have so many teams. We might do something of the South. I do not know yet. We'll check it out. We'll let you know on the program. But thanks for joining me in Across the Pond. And guys, have a wonderful weekend. Hey, big NFL weekend. Big college football weekend. NBA is alive. I mean, next week's show is going to be crazy because we're going to know who got through the wild cards. We're going to know who's in the next round of the playoffs. We're going to know who our national championship finalists are in the college football playoffs. And soon they'll be voting for the NBA All-Star weekend, which this year is going to be quite special because it's going to be, I think, a world team against Team USA. So you're going to have, look, I'm going with the world team, baby, because you've got Nikola Jokic, Luka Doncic, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, all on one team. I don't care what the LeBrons and the KDs and them bring. You got them all on one team. That's going to be interesting, man. That is going to be interesting. You got Segun on that team as well. It's going to be great, man. But hey, let me stop rambling on. You guys have a good one. Yeah, that's a good show. 25 minutes. I like that. Join me tomorrow morning, 7 o'clock. That's in 6.5 hours for the Daily Sports Update show. Otherwise, have a great evening. I send all my greetings to everybody across the Atlantic Ocean. Have a great one and see you guys soon.